Welcome to Integrated. This is the podcast where we seek to bridge the gap between the intellect and the will so that we can grow as disciples of Christ, surrendering all that we are and all that we have to the truth. Okay, that should be better. Okay, I see my dial moving up and down. I was going to tell you, welcome back to Integrated. Thank you for letting me know. I wasn't sure if my audio was set up. I brought up my studio into my kitchen. So will you just let me know if it's working now? There we go. Okay, perfect. Brick, I was saying to you, it's so good to see you on here today. I hope that you're feeling better after the surgery and everything else that happened afterwards. Sounds kind of nightmarish, but I saw you got a haircut and you look really good. So it's really good to see you guys. Phantom Lure Productions. You are new here for me anyway. So it's good to see you. Nice to meet you. I just wanted to hang out today and show you guys how I second brew my kombucha and just, I don't know, chat with you guys. So hopefully my sound is okay. I'm going to be moving around my kitchen a little bit. There will be some quiet in between. I want this to be laid back. So anyway, you guys tell me how you're doing and what you've got going on this weekend. I hope you guys have something fun lined up for the summer weekend. It's been really mild weather here in Minnesota lately. Like it feels more like September a lot of the time. Hey Mac, it's so good to see you. Phantom, thank you for joining us. I'm really excited. Mac, you're the bomb. You're awesome. Thanks for joining again today. So anyway, the weather here has been super chill, like cool for July. July is usually very, very hot. And sorry, my camera is up here and I'm looking at my computer to check comments a lot. Not the best. Someday maybe I'll get like a cool camera when I can afford to, a really big, cool, fancy camera. But right now we're using my webcam and it's up higher than normal. Anyway, I'm going to do a second ferment on my kombucha. I have been teaching myself sort of just random skills lately over the last couple of years, just to be more self-sufficient. And kombucha is a super easy ferment to learn how to do, and it's really good for you. Yeah, Brick, you're probably right. Also, I'm getting over some bronchitis, so you might hear me coughing a little bit. Sorry about that. I do have water here. So anyway, let me know what you've got going on this weekend. Please like this video, comment if you're new, subscribe, and share if you think this is interesting enough to share. I had a really fun chat last night with Kevin Non-Tratty Cath, I believe is his handle. So if you missed it, feel free to go check that out. We talked about all kinds of stuff, and it was a good interview. And so anyway, just wanted to share that. So let's get started on the ferment. Right now I have already set up, sorry, everything's backwards. I have my kombucha and the bottles that I will do the second ferment in. And then when you start your second ferment, usually, at least for me anyway, I like to get my next batch of kombucha going right away. So I'm going to kind of give you a rundown of the first few steps, and then you can like watch me do them. I'll try and position myself well enough that you can kind of see what I'm doing. I don't have like a camera crew and a big fancy camera. And because we're doing this live, I'm not going to bring the camera with me everywhere to show you everything, but I will try and bring everything to you so you can see it. That sounds like fun. What are you going to be doing there, Mac? What are you going to be doing out there? So anyway, the first step to doing a second ferment for kombucha is like you have to decide what flavors you want to do your second ferment. I have over here, I'm going to keep it really easy today. Sometimes I've used fresh fruit and herbs and honey and all kinds of stuff to make my second ferment. And today I'm just going to use some pineapple juice. It keeps it really easy and simple. So, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Praise be to God. Funny story before I get started on the rest of this second ferment. I'm really bad at lives when I'm doing stuff because I'm in and out all the time. Sorry about that. This is going to be the most disjointed how-to video of your life. So get ready. It's going to be a ride. But I have been trying to be more diligent about praying the rosary daily. I've rarely in my life been good about that. But one thing I notice is that every time I do, I don't swear as much. It naturally, I can only attribute it to the rosary, because the only time I notice this in my life is when I'm praying the rosary really regularly, I stop swearing and cursing. It's just a weird thing I've noticed. And I really do think that is Our Lady's intercession for me. And so anyway, that's just a funny thing I've noticed, because that's something I've noticed as of late. I actually privately, or like with friends and family, cuss like a sailor a lot of the time, which is horrible. I'm so sorry. May God have mercy on me. But it's just been a really bad habit to get out of. So anyway, I am excited for you. That's amazing. I hope that you find fruit in your life from praying the rosary again. So anyway, back to my kombucha ferment. You might even be wondering what the heck kombucha is. It's basically like yeast with lots of probiotics and stuff in it, and it's a tea that's been fermented. It breaks down the sugar and becomes this fermented drink, this fermented tea that you drink, that's supposed to be very good for your gut microbiome and putting good probiotics back into your body. I've heard different opinions. Like if your gut microbiome is really bad, you probably shouldn't drink kombucha right away. I don't know. You'd have to do the research on that. But I like kombucha. I like tea. It's a great afternoon drink for me when I want to cool off and I need a little bit of caffeine. I also have used like a starter kit from fermentaholics.com. I'll show you. I still use this just to get the instructions down. I've been brewing kombucha for like over a year now, but I think that there was several months there when I sort of just let my kombucha sit there, which created several scobies, is what they're called. Those are the little discs of yeast. I'll show you up close as much as I can what that looks like. But yeah, it's supposed to be really good for you. So that's why I brew it. It's just one of those things that I've enjoyed learning how to do. And I will get started with the kombucha. I'll show you up close what it looks like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of the culture that's in there, like the scobies and some of the tea, and that's going to be my starter culture for my next batch. And that's how fermenting always works. Like I'll show you my sourdough starter. I named it Polycarp. And if you know the story behind St. Polycarp, you know why. But Polycarp here, you always save some of that and feed that and use it when you're making more dough or something. You generally do. So anyway, okay, let's get started. I'm going to show you what I have here. And I do have a child here, so I might have to answer a question quick. What's up? No, you may not, but you can go outside. I'll be done in a little while.
Can I just stay up here and read a book now without
No, I want you outside with your siblings, please. Let's go. You got to keep kind of an eye on some of them. Okay? Thank you. You're in charge. You're the boss. Okay. Sorry, the kids are outside playing for a while. They could be downstairs if they wanted to, but they wanted to go outside for a while. So that's what they're doing. So anyway, here's my kombucha. This is what I brew. It's in a gallon jar. I started the brew on June 13th. And so it's been a little bit longer. I let it ferment maybe a little bit longer than I normally would like. It's definitely ready. You can kind of smell it gets that sour kombucha smell. And I'm going to show you what a SCOBY looks like. It's kind of gross. People get grossed out by this. But This is where all the goodness is. And actually, the thing that's cool about this is you can take the scobies and separate them and give other people starter scobies so they can brew their own kombucha. Okay, bear with me a little bit. Oh. I'm gonna kind of squeeze out some of this juice, but this is a SCOBY. There are lots of layers here because I've fermented so many times. I just haven't separated them. You guys are probably super grossed out, but I think it's really interesting because for every batch that you make, a new SCOBY is formed. And sometimes they just go right on top of each other. And you can see like, yeah, it's just really, really amazing to me. This is like a live food. So anyway, I have it. I'm putting it in this jar, and I'm going to add some of the tea in here so I can use it for the next batch. I'm just using a 4-cup. I'm just using one of these to get my next starter culture put aside. Okay, so the next step really is adding the juice that I want to use. I'm going to rinse my hands off. I'm going to add some of the pineapple juice, like probably about 3 tablespoons per bottle. And these are pint-sized fermentation bottles. That means that they seal up so that no oxygen can get in them. And the reason you do a second fermentation is to get that carbonation and to flavor your tea. So you can do whatever you want. That's super funny. Sweet tea is better than kombucha. You know, sweet tea is pretty decent. I feel like as a Midwesterner, especially from the upper Midwest, we don't drink a lot of sweet tea. So when I have had it, it's like something that I have to get used to. But I think I could really grow to like it a lot. Mac, you know, I think Jeff, the Supreme Pontiff, would be very proud of you right now. So anyway, yes. See, hey Mark, it's good to see you too. I wasn't sure if I would like see anybody today, so it's good that you guys are just joining me just for fun. So these are the bottles I'm using. Your wife also makes kombucha. That's awesome. That's really sweet. I'm the only one in my family that likes kombucha, so sometimes it's a little challenging to like drink through all of it. I need to be better about it. And Mac, sweet tea gives you a does it really? I'm so sorry. So anyway, these are the bottles I used to ferment. They clasp on top, and then every day when you start the second ferment, you have to open it to get all the extra gas out, because when you're letting the carbon dioxide build up in this is what's going to create that carbonation that most people are used to. I've never been able to get my kombucha as carbonated as the kombucha you buy in the store, but it does make a difference, and adding the sugar from juices and fruit and all that stuff is going to help create more of that carbon dioxide, because you're feeding sugar to the yeast with it. So it's important that when you are flavoring your kombucha, especially if you want it to be carbonated, you have to do it with something that has sugar, which is why I'm using the pineapple juice. So, okay, I'm going to set aside my starter culture for the next batch. And so this part is just going to take a little while and a little bit of focus for me anyway. So while I'm doing that, you guys, oh, Mark, you're the best. So yeah, let's sound off. What are you guys, like, what's on your mind right now? And let's talk about it while I get all of I have 5 pint-sized bottles to fill up before I start my next batch. So sound off. What's going on with you guys? And in the meantime, maybe I'll give you kind of an update on our job hunt. I've talked about it here and there, but I haven't like made any updates because I feel like we're very much in a hurry up and wait phase of the job hunt and hopefully a move here soon. So let me know what you're thinking. And I need to find my baby funnel. Here's my baby funnel. I love it. I also found this is one of the easier ways to, you know what? I might move my starter culture into a bowl so that I can use the 4-cup size to pour in the kombucha. That has been my favorite way to get all the tea into the bottles. And I need more starter tea. So in here, my scobies were taking up the whole thing pretty much. About a cup. We're good. Okay. Alrighty then. You're feeling guilty, Mac? I'm sorry. You don't have to sit here with me. If you're not being productive the way that you should be, you probably shouldn't tune in. So let's get started on this. I lost my baby funnel again. Here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to put like 3 tablespoons for each. And this is where, like, in a pre-made video, you get like the sped up part. Oh, sorry guys. Not today. Here's 3. And I really like, I like this Knudsen organic juice. I actually use this a lot for, I make homemade gelatin gummies for my kids. It's funny because last night Kevin was like, I think you're kind of crunchy. That's how I would describe you. You're crunchy. Like, boy, you don't even know. We're all about the gelatin gummies, the homemade everything here. So it's just 10 out of 10 recommend if you want a quick and easy snack for your kids that's healthy and fairly balanced in terms of nutrients, protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Recommend making your own gelatin gummies. And the other reason I wanted to do something like this is because this is a part of integration for me. I talked about it a little bit last night on that interview too, is I think the health component is part of being integrated and going back to the basics. And so for me, this is what going back to the basics looks like, is just doing this stuff, doing things that, learning how to ferment and do things to take care of our bodies instead of outsourcing our health to institutions that do not care about us and industries that are captured. That's right. I am that person. Oh. I mean, can you really take the food recommendations seriously when they're saying that things like cereal are healthier for you than ground beef? I don't think so. And that really happened, you guys. Okay, so I got my juice in all of these, and there's plenty of juice left for me to make my gummies. And so it's not a lot. Like, it's not just 3 tablespoons. And we'll move on to adding the tea. So I'm just pouring it into the 4-cup Pyrex. And then I can just pour it in. It's nice to have this little spout. I've tried so many times to scoop it in and do all kinds of stuff, and it's always a disaster. I'm a queen of making my kitchen a disaster. My husband loves it. He really loves it. Hi, Lauren. It's so good to see you. Ooh, you had kimchi fries. I'm pouring and I'm reading your comments. Mark had kimchi fries this week, and they were amazing. Okay, that's one thing I've wanted to try making is kimchi. You might sell me on this. Okay, so you usually want to leave about a half an inch of head space. I'm probably leaving slightly more than that just because this notch here tells me that's probably a good spot. Like I think, as I'm sure many of you know, and you can maybe see that this is really fizzing quite a bit at the top. So that's a good sign. And so I'm just gonna put this in a dark, not like, yeah, I mean, it's dark. I'm putting it in a cabinet. And then I'm just gonna let that sit for up to 2 weeks, usually is kind of what you do, 2 days to 2 weeks, depending on what your preferences are and how fizzy you want it. Every day you wanna pop that baby open to make sure it doesn't explode. I've definitely had that happen. I remember one time I made like strawberry and basil flavored kombucha and it exploded in there. And so I had like strawberry everywhere. Also, my husband loved that. That was fun. And so I just highly recommend you stay on top of that. And then when you're done fermenting and it's where you like it, then you stick it in the fridge. And that sort of prevents that carbon dioxide from continuing to build. And then you can, and it stops it from fermenting, which is what is creating that carbon dioxide. So you'll stick it in the fridge. And then when you want to drink it, you drink it. It's awesome. Can I help you? Or are you watching? You can sit down. You just gotta be quiet, babe. Yeah. Loving the crunchy mom content. This is what I'm here for, right? Like, I'm trying to show you guys. Another thing too that I wanted to show is I think a lot of influencers, I don't consider myself an influencer, but there's a lot of content out there and everyone seems like an expert. I don't think most of them are experts. I think most of them are like you and I. They're learning these skills for the first time. And so, like, you guys can learn with me. I have not perfected sourdough. I have not perfected my kombucha. I still make mistakes all the time when I'm doing this stuff. And I just want other people to see that it's okay. It's like not the end of the world if you screw it up. And that you can keep trying, and that's awesome. You don't have to feel bad about that or feel like a failure or embarrassed because all these people on the Instagram, they've got it all figured out. I don't think most of them do. I don't know. I just don't believe most of what I see on the internet. Okay. Yep, so here we go. This is my second bottle. We've almost got it filled up. I have 5 bottles to fill, and then we'll start on the next batch. And that doesn't take very long at all. All that you do is so I have my starter culture. What I'll do is I'll boil a couple of cups of water. You usually want to use filtered water. And you'll boil that. Once that's been brought to a boil, you steep your tea in it. That's how I make it. I know other people make kombucha using store-bought kombucha, which I've never done. I've always made it from scratch, so to speak. And I think it's really easy that way. It's been really easy for me that way. For some reason, my brain can't comprehend. I suppose they're just using the store-bought kombucha as the starter culture, which if you have a SCOBY and a gallon-sized jar, you don't need that. You just got to get your hands on a SCOBY. I should look up what the SCOBY is an acronym, by the way, for what it is. I should have had that pulled up as a little tidbit of information, but yeah, so right now, I want to get through your comments here quick. So Lauren hasn't attempted sourdough. So I actually would, if you want, I would love to do a sourdough video. I have started sourdough tutorials. I don't have time to like cut and edit everything, which is why this is easier for me. It's not the best for you guys because you don't get to see everything. And kefir is very nice too. I've heard, especially milk kefir. I have a friend who makes milk kefir, and she says like you get a ton of it really fast. You really have to stay on top of it. But kefir is awesome because you can use it to ferment food, like other foods. So you can do lacto ferments with milk kefir or whey. That's another thing that I want to show you guys how to do is how to make cheese from milk. My friend Tasha Rose from Radical Mothering, she sort of gave me the lowdown one day when I had milk that needed to be used up on how to make what's called farmer's cheese. And it's just basic cheese. It's not cottage cheese, I don't think. It has more of a texture of like ricotta, and it's really good if you add some salt to it. But then you're left with all the whey, and you can use the whey for baking or for fermenting lacto ferments. So it's very useful. Another really useful skill to have, and it's so simple, like very, very simple. Okay, bottle 3. I'm getting a little audience coming up here. All my kids are coming up. If you guys want, you can grab coloring stuff or books. Okay, but you have to be quiet, okay? It's down, I don't know, is it downstairs? I'm making kombucha. So yeah, I would love to do a sourdough thing.
Mommy, what are you making?
Sourdough is a little bit, there are more factors, I feel like, than...
Mommy, what are you making?
I'm making kombucha.
Oh, what are you?
For me, yeah. If you want to try it, you can when it's done. So last bottle, okay? We're coming down to the end here.
We should try it.
You should try it when it's ready. Okay, you guys, go sit down. I'm talking to some people right now. Yeah, what else would you guys like to see? I could show you how to do sourdough. I could show you how to make cheese. I can show you just some really simple recipes for cutting down expenses and making stuff at home. Got it. Yeah, I have a sick kiddo. That's one reason I decided to stream today, because I knew I'd be stuck at home, which is totally fine. But yeah, you guys, please let me get this done, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Mommy, hungry.
I know you're hungry.
Mommy.
Just gonna add, I have a little bit left here that I'm just gonna add to a couple of these jars.
Mommy, I want some applesauce.
Sorry, I hope you guys are fine. Like this is,
Applesauce.
you want some applesauce? Okay, but then you gotta be all done.
Okay.
Yep. Hope you guys don't mind. That's another thing I want to do is make Catholic content real again. It's not always gonna be perfect. So I'll be right back while I get my kids snacks. Oh, honey, no.
My aunt never died.
Okay. All right, but now you have to be quiet. I'm gonna finish my
My
kombucha.
aunt never died.
This time. Which one? Pick one. Okay. All right. So I have all 5 of my stuff made. So now the second ferment officially begins. I'm going to stick it in a cabinet. It's like kind of our pantry, but it's like a built-in, almost china cabinet that I just use as a pantry. And so it's dark in there. And okay. All right, you guys, it's quiet time. Okay, quiet time. Your sister's sleeping. You gotta be quiet. So I'm just gonna set this in there for the next probably 2 weeks. I like mine really carbonated, and I kind of like that very fermented flavor. I don't like it as sweet. That's just how I like it. And that's one thing that's really nice when you're making your own ferments and anything else, is you can really tailor it to your own taste. So I'm just gonna set these aside here. I'll put those in there when I'm done brewing my next batch. That is the next part of this, is just brewing the next batch. I'm going to rinse this out. It's always a good idea to sort of like rinse out. You don't have to, I know, like, I should say you should get this sterilized and do all that stuff. All of your bottles should be sterilized, but people didn't sterilize everything for a very long time. And I think I don't mind the extra, like, bacteria, so to speak, because that just is part of the culture that you're adapting anyway. This thing's going to be sitting out with a this cloth over it anyway that's breathable. It's going to be picking up stuff in the air anyway. So I personally don't see it necessary. I've never had problems with batches going bad. I did have one batch go bad and I had to restart because I think it was because my kombucha and my sourdough starter were too close together and they cross-contaminated, which can happen. So if you are doing multiple ferments, it's always a good idea to try and keep them spaced out away from each other. I've talked to other people who have never had an issue with that and they've had their ferments right next to each other. For me, mine did get cross-contaminated and the flavor was super funky and weird and gross. So it ruined both my sourdough and my kombucha. So just so you know. Oh, and I just wanted to take a moment to say hi to Mac's wife, Jill. Jill, Mac is, I'm so honored. Mac is like just always so encouraging of my work. And Jill, I think you are very blessed, and I'm grateful that that you guys are just so awesome. So thank you for joining me again today. And Jill, I hope that you're having a wonderful day and that you have a wonderful trip this weekend when you guys head out of town to go enjoy the beach and everything. Okay, Brick, that's awesome. Like I said, I want this to be a chill stream. And yeah, it's not going to be perfect either, especially not now that the kids are up here doing kid things. What do you want? This one. All right. Oh, we're all done. Okay, I'm just gonna rinse this off quick. No, you have to be quiet now. No. I know. Are you hungry? Do you want some milk?
I don't want.
Listen. No, I'll give you some milk though. I said no. Veronica's holding you. Have to be quiet. Okay. So here we go. All right. Getting this dried out. And we'll get started on the next part. So the next phase, like I said before, is I'm going to get the water boiling. And once it's boiled, I'm just going to set my tea in there. So for a gallon-sized jug like this is 1 gallon. You use, at least for the recipe that I follow, use 6 teaspoons of loose leaf tea. I use a specific like kombucha black tea blend, but I think you could use pretty much whatever you want. I mean, people make kombucha with green tea and all kinds of stuff. So you can make your own decisions, what you want to do. If you want flavored tea, that's another option. Things like that with fruits, you could use for your batch, like your first ferment, flavored tea. And you could change tea profiles for every batch that you make. You don't have to stick with the same kind. So there we go. So while that's going, I guess I will tell you guys a little bit about the moving situation. We're still applying for jobs. In fact, I think we have about 4 more that we're applying for today or tomorrow. Sorry, just got to clean up some of the spillage from bottling this stuff. So we're just going to continue applying for stuff. We've been getting the house kind of ready, and hey, you guys, if you're gonna be in the house, you gotta be quiet while I'm doing this, okay? It would be better if you guys did this in the classroom. I'm gonna try and convince my kids to go in the classroom so you can hear me a little bit. So 1 second. I'm gonna mute. Sorry, they needed a firm talking to about why you can't be up here coloring and stuff while I'm in the middle of doing a stream. So anyway, we've been applying for jobs. I think we might start applying in other places. We've applied, Tennessee, Missouri, Kansas. Where else? Montana. We're looking at Indiana, Texas. We've been praying a lot just for God to move mountains and just show us the way, like make it very, very clear and obvious to us. And for those of you who maybe haven't been who don't know me, like Phantom, for example, Phantom Lure Productions, you probably don't know this, but I'm from Minnesota, and this last legislative session was sort of the last straw for us here. Our state legislature is insane, and the GOP here is insane, and they're weak. I think the damage that was done in this last legislative session is going to reverberate for decades. It's going to take decades for us to fix what happened. And this next legislative session is only keyed up to make things a lot worse. It's a nightmare, like from the abortion law that was passed and trying to, like now they're offering feminine products in boys' bathroom at public schools, all kinds of, it's just insane. Like it's very crazy to me. And they are trouncing parental rights and notification for all of these things, allowing for kids to basically report their parents if their parents are not, if parents don't call them by their preferred pronouns and get along with that program, the government will take your kids for you if they want to be taken from their parents. And so parents just have no rights here. It's actually very horrific. So we're looking at moving. It's not just that stuff too. Like their energy policy is insane. My husband is in the energy industry. He's a lineman, and this state is going to be bankrupt. Now we're also paying for illegal immigrants' tuition at four-year universities if they so choose. It's just, and taxes are already really insane here, like very high. And we had a huge surplus this last year, and the government just basically stole it and put it into more programs instead of giving it back to people. They literally stole our money, which taxation is theft, kind of. Anyway, I'm a little bit of that mindset. I think some taxation is acceptable, but not where we are right now. So for these and just all these reasons, we want to raise our family somewhere that is family friendly, is respectful of parents making decisions for their children and training them in the ways that they should go, all of that stuff. So yeah, Michigan is insane too. My kids want us to move to Michigan after our last trip, but yeah, that's just not going to happen. Michigan is beautiful though. It's really pretty, and Lake Michigan was incredible. I wasn't expecting that. I went on a retreat weekend. Our whole family did. It was a family retreat weekend over at Tim Flanders' home and Jeremiah Bannister, the paleocrat. We stayed with Jeremiah's family. That's where we like slept as a family, and then we would spend most of our days with the Flanders at their residence. And we went to Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan was incredible. It was not what I was expecting. So Lake Superior is very rocky and very cold. We were so surprised that the beaches at Lake Michigan are very sandy and beautiful. The color is beautiful in the water, and you could swim in there and be comfortable. So yeah, Grand Rapids was awesome. Yes. Yep. The blue states are insane right now. So they're all going that way. It's becoming very divided. Okay. I'm just checking. Just wanted to check the water. But yeah, Grand Rapids is sweet. And it's funny because we stayed in Escabana on our way back. We made a stop there for a night. And after we got home, there was a job opening for a lineman position there in Escabana. And we joked about applying for it, but we knew we don't want to move from a state with a governor like Tim Walz only to go to a state with Gretchen Whitmer. So I can hear the water is starting to boil. We're getting closer. I'm just gonna see if I can add. I have just a little bit more kombucha tea to add. Escanaba. Did I say Escabana? Is that what I was saying? Escanaba. I'm sorry. Escanaba. You're right. I should try this. Anyway. It's pretty fizzy already. I definitely let it over ferment this first time. But that's okay. Maybe we'll do a short second ferment.
It's colored inside of this. Yeah. Coach told me to stop it over here.
You need to go. Okay. I'm almost done. I'm just finishing my next batch. You got to hear some of the kids fighting. So-and-so's doing this. So-and-so's doing that. Oh, no, he can't do that. Normally, I like put on a show for them, but I've been sick this week. The kids have been getting sick, and so they've been watching a little bit more TV than normal. And like normally they play really well by themselves, especially outside. But doing this kind of stuff, I feel, is almost similar to it. Like if you're a parent with small kids, you know what I mean. The second somebody calls you, your kids are like on you all of a sudden. They want to know what you're doing and who you're talking to. And it's sort of the same thing whenever I stream. The kids are always very interested, which is fine. But yeah. And you might even hear Elijah. He's so loud. He's always been really loud. Oh. Yes. This might be what it actually is. Oh. There you go. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoy it. So I'm just letting the tea steep right now, and I'll kind of squeeze the tea bag here and there. And it's super easy because after this, like after the tea has been steeping in the water for a while, let's see how long my directions say it, probably like 5 to 10 minutes. Yes. So once I'm done, and I like a stronger tea, so I'll probably do it a little bit closer to 10 minutes. Then I will take sugar. There's about a cup of sugar. Yes, exactly. Shelby knows. She knows what's up. But like you just pour a cup of sugar in there and stir it in there until it dissolves. I've actually watched other videos from people from like Cultures of Health, I think is the company. But they will say you don't even need the sugar to dissolve because it's going to get used up by the yeast anyway. So you don't have to do it, but that's what I do is I stir it in until it dissolves for the most part. And that becomes like the root or the base for your next brew. So after that, I will fill up the jar until it's almost full. And then I'll add my starter culture that I picked from my first batch. This is the leftovers of what I have. But in that bowl back there, that smaller bowl, I have the scobies and the extra starter in there. So once you're done with that, then you just set it aside in a warm place. So I usually use the top of my refrigerator because it usually stays a little bit warmer up there, and the fridge kind of keeps it warm from underneath. That's my favorite spot, especially in the winter when it gets a lot cooler overnight. You don't want your starter or you don't want your kombucha to get cold, because if the SCOBY gets cold and everything, that's when you start to get mold, and then you're done for. So you want your SCOBY and your kombucha to stay warm with that breathable cloth on top. So now you know why. And Shelby, I was thinking you'd probably like this shirt. Just an ordinary mom trying not to raise communists. Do you like it? Do you like my shirt? I got that at a health freedom rally during COVID. And yeah, it's one of my favorite shirts to wear in public. Oh, so I'm just going to squeeze the tea bag a little bit more. I'll come back. Shelby, what are you and Jake doing? What are you doing this weekend? It's good to see you, by the way. I can't wait for you to come back to Minnesota, or for us. Hey, maybe we'll move out by you, which would be a lot of fun. But it was really fun. I recently got to see Shelby. She and her husband Jake with their kiddos came back to the Twin Cities where Jake is from to go see some of his family, and we all got together at Tasha's house. I talked about Tasha earlier in the stream. She's known as Radical Mothering, Tasha the Radical Mom. But yeah, and that was a lot of fun. We just got to hang out and have this huge meal with like 30 kids everywhere. It was amazing. Oh, your grandparents are in town from California. That's awesome. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I bet you could. Yes, you've got a warmer skin tone. That's awesome. Where from California? Like, where in California are they? Like Northern California or Southern California? I feel like those are very different things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to just put this kombucha up here while I'm waiting for the tea to steep a little bit more. There we go. Let's put away. 1 hour south of LA. Ooh. I bet coming out to where you guys are, that's a big difference for them. Like, is for them, is it a little bit of a culture shock, or have they always lived in California, or and do they enjoy living in California? Like, that's just, I couldn't do that. I could not do that. How do they do it? It's like impossible to afford living out there. That's crazy. Whew. But yeah, so even now I'm just returning in my train of thought to us moving. Yeah, if you guys could just keep us in your prayers. It's been, I don't know, I think I get discouraged a little easily. I sort of overestimated how easy it would be for my husband to get a job because He's literally amazing. Oh, I hear the baby. She just woke up. I better go get Ronnie. She's due for her prime time moment. Oh, will you go get her? Okay. I've got the oldest grabbing her. But yeah, I'm getting a little discouraged. My husband is amazing, and he's such a hard worker, and he worked his way up in his company. He's very loyal. And he has a lot of grit. And so I know he would thrive wherever he goes. And I just wish somebody would like take a chance on him. I think they're a little bit unsure because we're from out of state. And I'm sure they're more prone to, it's especially when you get into blue collar work and stuff like that. If you've got I should say with any business, right? Like if you know somebody and you have connections to that person, you're just more likely to hire them instead of some random person from out of state. That feels like more of a risk, I think. So, yeah. Oh, Veronica, how was your nap? I love this outfit she's wearing today. It was gifted to her from her godmother. I'm just gonna pull the mic in. It's super cute. It's very vintage, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be tough. So originally from Texas. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's fun that they got to see snow. Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing. I can't imagine because obviously living in Minnesota, snow is most of our lives for like 9 months out of the year. So I imagine if that's something you've never experienced, how amazing that would be. Mm-hmm. After I'm done, I can. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for grabbing her. Yep, I'll make you an airplane when I'm done. You can go now, though. Okay, I'm just going to take out the tea bag and start stirring in the sugar. I should have mentioned, it's just so you boil 2 cups of water and then steep the 6 teaspoons of loose leaf tea. And then you stir in a cup of sugar. So it's 1 part sugar, 2 parts water, just so you know. What? No, get out. No popsicles today. So my sugar is basically dissolved. I'm just going to pour it into my gallon-sized jug, and then I'll fill it up. You don't want to put your starter culture with the SCOBY in there right away because you don't want it to get too hot, and that water was just boiling. So you want to fill it up with water first. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. They're out in the garage, buddy. I don't trust myself. I need the funnel. For good reason. Let me get some of this sugar out of here. Okay, so now I'm just filling the jar. You can't totally see it in frame, but it's in that back corner there. And you'll notice, maybe I'll show it to you a little bit closer when I'm done, but I have like a little temperature strip on this side, and that's how I can make sure that it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It is color coded, and so it just, the color shows up based on how cold it is or hot. Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. So kefir is different. It's not yeast based. Kombucha is made with a SCOBY. I'm not an expert. I do have kefir starter in my fridge right now. Let me look at it and I can tell you a little bit better. But I'm super flattered that you're listening from Ireland. That's amazing. Here goes the SCOBYs. If you missed the SCOBYs at the beginning, here they are. This is yeast. So to answer your question a little bit, these SCOBYs are used to make the kombucha. Sorry, I'm trying to be in frame, but just the way that this is set up right now is not the best. But these SCOBYs form for every batch that you make, and I will pull up what SCOBY stands for. It's an acronym that explains to you what exactly it is. Okay, the starter culture is in. Okay. You taste Veronica. That's my kombucha. Oh, are you gonna say hi now? Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull up. 1 second for you. Okay. So here's my milk kefir. I haven't been brave enough to. I know this is pretty easy, but this it uses kefir grains. I'm not exactly sure what kefir grains are. Maybe I should do a stream where you guys can join me while I make kefir for the first time with starter grains. And then I can explain the difference a little bit better. I know milk kefir is really good for you too. It's very rich in probiotics, and I've heard it's delicious too and kind of sweet. I have a friend that likes her milk kefir a lot. Okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah, Ronnie. I just started putting hair up in ponytails, and they're so cute. Is kombucha good? Okay, so kombucha is very much, I think for most people, an acquired taste. Because of the fermentation process, it tastes kind of vinegary. But kind of what I said earlier in the beginning of the stream, or at some point, maybe in the middle, one thing that's really nice about making this stuff at home is that you can make it to your preference. So, like if you don't want to ferment it for super long, you don't have to. You might not get as much of the probiotic richness from it, I guess, so to speak, but you're still going to get some of that. And the second fermentation process, you can still make that a little bit more sweet too, if that's what you're wanting. You don't have to even do a second ferment. You can just drink your kombucha straight after its first ferment. I just like to because I like the carbonation and I like the sweet. And I think it's fun to flavor it different ways. So Sometimes I'll do several different flavors at a time, like strawberry basil and then ginger and lemon. And sometimes you have to add extra sugar. So like that one doesn't have enough sugar in it usually. So you'll add honey because you need that sugar for the fermentation and something for the yeast to feed on to create that carbonation. And that's why even with beer, I was asking my friend Trevor Alcorn when he came on my podcast. He's the face of Tridentine Brewing, but he explained that when they're done fermenting the beer with the hops and everything, so each bottle that they make has basically a little sugar pill in it. And that's essentially their second ferment process, right? So every bottle gets a little bit of sugar in it. They add the first brew, the first ferment, and then after that process, then they bottle it. So it's really interesting. It is like brewing beer in a way, except this you're using natural yeast, and that's different. So like you can get a SCOBY. You'll see when you get apple cider vinegar, and you have vinegar with a mother in it, so to speak. That's basically what it is. It's basically a SCOBY. My favorite that I've made, it's called priming sugar. See, there you go. Shelby knows more than I do. And that's what I said too earlier in the stream. I'm not an expert in this. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at all. I'm still learning. I just think it's fun, and I want other people to start doing things like this, doing things more at home, that taking control of our own health in a way, and sort of rejecting the narrative we've been sold, I think. Oh, you used to brew beer. That's so cool, Shelby. That's really awesome. Yeah, botanically brewed ginger beer. Yeah, you can, and that's the thing too. Like, you ferment stuff at home, you get to customize it however you want. Oh, I'm gonna have to probably hop off here soon, but I want to get back to the SCOBY question. I'm gonna use my phone. Sorry, I should know this offhand, but again, not an expert. What is it? Okay, you can actually make your own SCOBYs too. I don't know if you know that. So SCOBY stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It's an ingredient used in fermentation of kombucha. You can buy SCOBY or you can make your own SCOBY. And that's one thing too. Like, I guess I can show you my jar now that I'm done with it. Do you want some milk, honey? Okay, so you're gonna maybe be able to see this, but my SCOBYs are kind of everywhere. They can sink to the bottom, they can float on the top. That's totally normal. However, whatever it does is probably normal as long as it's not molding. It does turn kind of like brown when that yeast is forming and the bacteria. So like, I'm wondering if I can show you. I have some of this floating around. It's like I can't spin it to show you. But there's like, you can see the cultured live stuff floating around in there. And that's the good stuff. It is brown, and it's kind of weird when you're first learning how to make it because you're like, what is this stuff? Totally normal, natural, good for you stuff. And yeah, as long as it's not molding, if it's brown, normal. Like, there are many variations of normal for this, but yeah, like, it's pretty easy. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And one thing I do have just as like a protective measure for me, I don't think you need this, but at first when I got started, I was a little like over the top. I wanted to make sure I was doing everything right. And so I did get a pH thing. So another thing you need to know is that you want your pH for the kombucha to be under 4.5. So if it's under that, which this is 3.64, good to go. If it is that, you want to add a little bit of vinegar to make it more acidic for proper fermentation and everything. Yeah, that's where that SCOBY is going to thrive, in that pH. So now you know. Jasmine and tea, Ginger. You do not eat the SCOBY. I do not ever recommend eating the SCOBY. It's just a big thing of yeast.
I made poop on my pants.
Did you guys hear that? Elijah pooped in his pants. So I may have to let you go soon. Oh, but this was a lot of fun and super random. Yeah, as for the SCOBY, no, please don't eat it. It would be very gross. It's like a rubbery feeling thing. It would have like the worst texture ever. Yeah, it's just used for the culture. And so when I'm done here, I'm just gonna, you want it to be able to breathe. That's because it's a living thing. Just like with your sourdough, it's not a bad idea. I think, different cultures, they can culture with or without oxygen. I think sourdough might be one of those where it can ferment with or without oxygen. Kombucha, you need the oxygen. I can't remember the technical terms for that, but yeah. So I'm going to put this up on top of my fridge, and then I'm done. You guys watched me second ferment my first batch. I needed to start the second batch. I'm going to write on here. I kind of showed you in the beginning. It said 6:13, which was when I started my last batch. I let that batch go a little too long. I just couldn't find a good time to start my second ferment. So that one was a little bit more vinegary than I typically like. But it'll work. It'll do. And this batch, now I know, because my starter culture started off a little bit more acidic, more vinegary, I'm not going to let it ferment nearly as long. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Oh yeah, kombucha is like really good for you. It's like a health food. Depends on who you ask, of course, just like everything else in the health community. But it's supposed to be very probiotic, have a lot of good healthy bacteria for you. And so it's an easy thing. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I like to have it in the afternoon during the summer. I can pour it over ice or just drink it chilled after it's been sitting in the fridge. And especially if I need an afternoon bump, kind of like if I'm tired and I have that 2 o'clock slump, I like having kombucha. And I know that it's good for me, and I don't have to feel like bad about having more coffee. Like I had coffee yesterday afternoon, and I could not for the life of me fall asleep last night. Well, I think that sums it up for today. Have I decided on Texas yet? Yep, I will be right with you to change your diaper. Okay, how about you finish your apple? Okay, he's eating an apple right now anyway. Have I decided on Texas yet? Not yet, only because the area that the job that my husband saw that we were kind of interested in. You want me to cut it up for you? Yeah. The cost of living there was really high. I'm not gonna put peanut butter for you right now, okay? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna give Veronica just a little bit. Veronica, keep your hands away. Yeah. So the area that we were looking at was Fredericksburg. Shelby. Yep, it's okay, Ronnie. Here you go, bud. I'm gonna get you a bowl. Yeah, it's okay, sweet pea. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest drawback right now, is that the cost of living in Fredericksburg is higher than, say, oh, she wants another one. Like we're looking at other states too, like Kansas and Indiana and Missouri, and we can afford a lot more land. I mean, there are other parts of Texas too that we could afford more land. But that's just where that job was in particular. So yeah. So we're thinking about it. We might. Sure, you can eat outside, but when you're done, you need to come in so I can change your stinky butt. Okay. And how about you eat your apple and I will, because then I'll be done recording here. Okay? All right, buddy. Do you want to go out on the deck and you can share with little Veronica? Okay. Okay, will you give her one? You want one more? Here you go. Oh, I guess not. Here you go. You can just go. You had a cigar? That sounds nice. Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. A nice cigar. That sounds great. Yeah, the cost of living is a little bit higher there. Like, the cost of living is pretty high here. At least where we are. I don't know. It's not the best. It's not ideal. Lots of taxes here, especially income tax. And in terms of what we could afford for land prices are so expensive here. And we want to be able to have a few acres so that we can homestead a little bit more. I have been begging for chickens and we want a little bit of a bigger house. Not that our house needs to be huge. Our house is right now a decent size. The bedrooms are an amazing size. But I personally would like a house where we can invite people over and entertain, do more homeschooling co-op type stuff. I've done homeschool co-op things here in my house, and it's just not the best layout for it. And yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. We'd like to be able to afford a home where we can create a community, I think, and be a resting place for people. That's what how I envision it. I want to be able to have chickens and have the big garden and do all that stuff. And my husband, he wants that for us too. He grew up on a farm. So yeah, we want to make sure we can afford those things and be in a good Catholic community. Yes, honey. My daughter Avery wants a home with 3 levels. I do not, because I hate going up and down the stairs. I want a ranch. That would be ideal. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at. I know. Why do they make it so expensive? Bye, Brick. It's good to see you. Oh, hey, Kevin. It's good to see you. You're super jealous of whatever I'm fermenting. It is more kombucha. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know why they make it so expensive. It's especially here in Minnesota. Yes, so good at juggling them all. Am I good at it? Sometimes I feel like a chicken with my head cut off, but I'm glad that you guys bear with me. Like, this is real life. I don't know. I just want to be a content creator that's doing real stuff, talking about real things, and like doing the mom thing. Like, my kids are always going to come first, and that's life. That's my life. Oh, kombucha. Kombucha is really good, and it's super easy to make on your own. So you'll have to go back, start over. I just brewed a new batch, and I started the second ferment on my last batch. So, well, thank you so much. It was good to see you guys. Feel free to comment below, like, share, subscribe if you want to, I don't know, check out my website. My website is integratedangela.com. I'm on social media. You can find my Twitter and Instagram. I'm on Twitter a lot, but I'm trying not to be on it so much. Same with Instagram. I'm trying to be more intentional and just not doing stuff just to do it or saying things just to say them. I need to be more prudent. So it's really good to see you guys, though. And thanks, you guys, for tuning in. You guys are the best. God bless you. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me today. Gotta get this started.